Now that racing is big business, it spans the darlings of Madison Avenue. Here's the question. Are you part of the target audience? My co-host tonight has brought this ubiquitous logo to 3 different racing series, and we'll grill him about them all. And speaking of logos, racing helped make the STP Oval one of the most recognizable in the world. Tonight, we'll chat up the famous car owner behind that success story. And one of the world's most recognizable brand names will grace this guy's car in 2 weeks when he tries to win at the most famous racetrack in the world. So, who gives you fans the chance to talk to racing heavy hitters like these? Well, that's our trademark. Welcome to Wind Tunnel. Hi there, welcome to Wind Tunnel. I'm Dave Despain. Sunday night of an Nextel Cup short track weekend usually means drivers and fans all steaming about what happened on the track, and if not, we have enough leftover Darlington vitriol that will ensure at least a couple of hours worth of debate. They could have used a little more heat and a little less rain at Indianapolis this weekend. Tony Kanaan, today's big star, won the pole. Danica Patrick, row 2. And it is a measure of her expectations that 4th is a huge disappointment. And my co-host tonight isn't here, but he has a good excuse. His driver, Ryan Briscoe, was in line when the gun went off at 6 o'clock Indianapolis time. Chip Ganassi is burning up kerosene as we speak en route to this spot. And as soon as he gets here, we're going to hammer him with stuff like this email. Hey, Dave, ask Ganassi if Robin Miller's as big a jerk in real life as he is on TV. Signed, Loves Indy. I can't wait to do that, but we don't get the opportunity to do that right now. Instead, we're going to do the old Aerometrics Hot Topics. Hey, the kid finally closed the deal. Casey Kane not only won Richmond last night, but he did it by beating Tony Stewart. Significant for reasons that we'll get to in due time. Highlights and your NASCAR calls and emails coming up soon. Meanwhile, Roger Penske has made Rusty Wallace an offer to buy out Rusty's share of Team Penske South. Rusty told Speed's John Roberts he may have an answer, yes or no, by the 1st of next week. Big deal. I'm betting Ryan Newman hopes the answer will be yes. When in doubt, whip it out. The checkbook, that is. The Long Beach Telegram says Champ Car co-owner Kevin Kalkoven is in negotiations to buy the Long Beach Grand Prix Association, promoter of his series' premier U.S. event, from the current owner, Dover Motorsports. That would ensure the race remains a part of the Champ Car World Series rather than becoming an IRL event. And am I the only one who thinks it's going to take more than bogus bumping to justify the ongoing marathon of Indianapolis qualifying? We'll get Ganassi to weigh in on that, too, but not right now. I'm getting an important message from the voices in my head. It says the 89th Indy 500 pole sitter is moments away from our camera and microphone. And apparently, we're not the only ones who want to talk to him. I can't understand that. So we're going to grab a quick break, then we're going to welcome Tony Kanaan back to the Wind Tunnel on the other side of that break. Also ahead, well, you got your Nextel Cup action in Richmond. We saw the expected bumping and grinding, but mostly it was trouble for the top guys and victory for the new guy, new to victory lane, that is. Highlights on the way. We're also going to visit several other interesting guests this evening. Indy car owner Sam Schmidt and former Indy 500 winning car owner Andy Granatelli, along with Miller and Ganassi, assuming that the plane lands and he shows up. We'll be right back.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain is brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. With more ways to use us than ever before, the U.S. Postal Service is working for you. And by Aerometrics, for a long-lasting auto fragrance that's never out of control.
Who's ready to ride?
Me! The new CRS from Honda. Who wants to ride? Me! With freedom of choice financing, get low payments, low interest rates, and even bonus bucks. Now you've got the freedom to choose. See dealer for details.
My name is Chip Foose. At Foose Design, we can build you a car of your dreams. I'm a big fan of Mother's Powerball and Power Metal Polish. Some wheels have very intricate designs and little pockets, and with the Powerball you can get right in there and get them polished and clean and get all that gunk out of there. When I'm doing my wife's car, I might spend 45 minutes to an hour cleaning each wheel. With a Powerball, I can cut that down to about 5 minutes. When you're using the Powerball, you only want to use those on Foose wheels. There's no shine like Mother's.
Hey, Angie, going to the post office?
Post office? Angie, post office, 3 seconds.
No matter how many packages you need to send, you don't have to go to the post office. Just log on to USPS.com. Pay postage, get insurance, print labels, and we'll pick them up for free.
Shh, I'm at the post office.
Just one more way the U.S. Postal Service is working for you.
Look at him. He thinks this is his truck, but he's wrong. This is my truck. 8 years I've sat here. 130,000 miles of wind have passed through this nose. This truck is mine, but he does protect it.
Help extend the life of your engine with Castrol GTX High Mileage, specially formulated to protect against oil burn-off better than competitive leading oils.
Nice man. Nice man.
Help older cars feel young again with Castrol GTX High Mileage.
Tony Kanaan didn't appear to fuss all that much over new qualifying procedures on the rain-delayed pole day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was washed out yesterday. Tony calmly rolled out third today, slapped a 2:27.5 on the top of the pylon and said, "Okay, boys, beat that." Oh, boys and girl. Nobody did. End of story. Well, not quite. There was a little more to it than that, but with appropriate wind tunnel congratulations. Let's welcome our old friend back to the show. Nice job today, TK. You did good.
Thanks, Dave. Nice to be back. Get a good mojo so I can go win this thing on May 29th.
Exactly. We'll get to that in a minute, but first let's talk about qualifying. You didn't have any really serious threats until the very end. When a guy like Roger Penske pulls the fourth-place car, plugs in your old buddy, Helio Castroneves, and sends him out with you sitting there in line, I imagine that's a little tense, huh?
Yeah, what a combination. Huh? One of the guys that I always had to race all my life, and Roger Penske. I'm surprised that. He only put one car. He put 2 cars in line. I was like, man, I'm getting hammered here. So came a little bit of a deja vu from 2 years ago that he took me out of the pole in the last outing. But this time, hopefully, it didn't work for him, and it worked for me. So it was nerve-wracking, Dave. I have to say that I was sitting in my car. I wasn't driving, just with my seatbelt on, and my heart was going as fast as I was qualifying the previous outing, so it was a nerve-wracking.
Well, it didn't pay off. He bumped himself back one spot to 5th, but the captain said it was Helio's choice, and therefore it was worth it. We heard a lot of talk yesterday during the rain about temperature today and that 60 degrees was some sort of minimum ambient for the tires to work properly. It was way colder than that when things started this morning. Was grip an issue? Was it hairier than usual?
Well, they've always, with these cars, you have a balance because, yes, the tires wasn't, they weren't coming up to temperature quite as fast as the hot days. But when we have a cold weather like this, downforce, we gain a lot of downforce. So it's a compensation of it. It was tough to get it right on the first 2 laps. That's why Brian Barton and the IndyCar officials decided to go to a 3rd time by. We had no choice. And to give people an extra lap to warm the tires up, and I think was no dramas. If I had to choose, I would say I would go 2nd time by because that's what I was trying all week, so it caught me by surprise, but I don't think tire temperature was an issue today.
We heard it over and over all day. The car was great. We trimmed it out all we could. I was flat the whole 4 laps. It was just slow, and I don't know why. We heard that from everybody, including all 3 of your teammates. What is the explanation for that? How does that happen?
Look, Dave, I think, I can speak for my teammates because I know what they had. They had exactly the same car I had. I think the best thing to say was the conditions for me were better, but sometimes it's hard to understand what happens. You never know. The only thing you cannot judge is the conditions, and you can't simulate that. You don't know if the wind picked up a bit or not. It's really hard. Track conditions, the asphalt changes, so I really have no explanation. I think I got really lucky today to get an early draw because I think the track was better before in the beginning of the day than it was at the end. I mean, the temperature didn't change all day. The wind changed direction a bit, so I would say our early draw was a good thing to have today.
In about 30 seconds, what will you do next weekend? Not very many cars left. There'll be lots of practice time. Do you just do laps, or do you get it right, cover it up, and wait for Memorial Day?
We're going to try to cover up by Friday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, run long runs, the 4 of us together, and then by Saturday, we want to give the guys a couple of days off to rebuild the cars and get ready for Carb Day.
Lots of more people waiting on the satellite. We have the Indy 500 winner booked here for 2 weeks from tonight. We'll keep the seat warm for you, okay?
I'll be back.
Tony Kanaan. Thank you, Tony, and good luck. We appreciate that. Highlights? Yeah, we got time for some quick highlights, I think, from the qualifying action today. Next big story is Danica Patrick, of course. Huge hype this week about the chance for a female rookie to win the pole, fueled by her position at the top of the speed charts. The big moment comes, a big bobble in turn 1. Bad news? Well, it killed her pole hopes. Good news? She saved the car. Of course, tricked up qualifying rules extended the drama. Would she come back out? No, actually. She starts 4th. Sam Hornish did come back out. 10th quick in the T-car after a backflip in practice that we'll get to later. Sam made a second attempt and jumped to the middle of row 1. First Toyota. Scott Sharp rounding out the front row. Beyond that, as we said, the car surprises mostly guys slower than they expected. Perhaps Chip Ganassi's guys all fit that list. Scott Dixon switching chassis, looking for speed, settled for 13th. Darren Manning still sore from a crash early in the week, settling for 19th. And Ryan Briscoe, got it wrong, tore up some more Target Ganassi Racing hardware, and he's going to be qualifying next weekend. So now the little voices in my head are telling me that Chip is in the building. We have a Ganassi sighting. Let's go ahead and get another commercial break in. We'll get him back in here. We'll get him in here and catch up on the rest of the activity. We'll talk about Casey Mania getting a shot in the arm. Fan love for the Kane kid, reaching a new level last night. He finally wins his first Cup race. Highlights from Richmond up next. And speaking of Cup, what, if anything, will my co-host be doing with Sterling Marlin's future? Tunnel heads want to know. And what does STP stand for? The man behind the logo, Andy Granatelli, coming in later to talk about that and about his glorious days as a winning Indy 500 car owner. We will be right back.
Next Sunday on Speed, from go-kart champ to NASCAR champ.
You know me, I'm always a pest.
Tony Stewart has smoked them all.
You ain't spitting in my eye.
When I have my show, I'll start picking, but this is your show.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and co-host Tony Stewart. Next Sunday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on Speed.
Give your diesel the edge. It's the only performance system that gives you control while you're driving. With 5 shift-on-the-fly power and torque options from mile to wild. Edge technology dramatically increases drivability and power, virtually eliminating downshifting while towing. Plus, it does away with expensive gauges, letting you digitally monitor boost and EGT. Edge even displays 0 to 60 and quarter-mile times. Log on now for your local dealer and give your diesel the edge.
Now, from Avacor, one of the most trusted names in hair regrowth, there's today's Avacor with Boost that gives you visibly thicker hair with the first application. With today's Avacor, you get twice the benefits. Avacor's Boost instantly improves the appearance of your existing hair, while the physician's formulation goes to work on balding areas.
The main reason for thinning hair and baldness is hereditary hair loss. Just because there is a family history of hair loss doesn't mean you have to suffer. The problem is toxic degeneration of the hair follicle. Avacor targets the hair follicle to reverse hair loss, improve blood flow, and stimulate new hair growth.
This user went from this to this in just 3 months with Avacor. And remember, Avacor Boost will improve your hair's appearance the day you receive your order. We're giving away a free month of Avacor with all of today's orders. Call 800-347-1444. That's 800-347-1444. 800-347-1444.
Timing is everything. We popped the cork on the champagne. The dancing girls went home, and then you show up. Chip Ganassi, welcome to the show.
See you. Thanks for having me.
I know what you went through to get here. I want you to know we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about what happened today. It wasn't a great day in terms of qualifying for you guys, I guess.
Well, not for us, but you know, I thought it was a great day for Indianapolis qualifying. I thought there was a lot of excitement, a lot of anxiety that's usually reserved for the last day of qualifying. It was, fortunately or unfortunately, wherever you were, it was there today. I thought it was a great day of qualifying.
I don't disagree with that if they would just end it now and remember that and not drag it. But we'll get to that later. how much are you banking on numerology? Last two Kentucky Derby winners, that number's gone on to win the Indy 500.
I've heard that all week.
I know you have, and you're sick of hearing about it. Do you care about that?
Look, here, bottom line, it's a 500-mile race, and we feel pretty good about how we run on our race setup. I mean, obviously, we didn't do the job when it came to qualifying today, and other people did. And my hat's off to them. And we had our ups and downs all week, and we made it through them, though.
Do you have something under Dixon now that he's happy with? I know you've been doing some chassis.
Yes, we do. He's very happy with the Panos chassis, or the G-Force, for those of you people of older IndyCar interest. And Scott's very happy. He's happy with his race setup, happy with how he's running the car. So I think he and Darren are certainly our big shots. And but Ryan, I have a lot of faith in his ability as well.
With that, I want to change subjects, if that's all right with you, because you've got feet and racing camps all over the world, and this is the block in which we're supposed to talk about Nextel Cup. Did you go to Richmond?
I was in Richmond last night.
You did the Indy, Richmond, Indy, Charlotte leg.
Yes.
As Saturday night short track goes, last night's Richmond wasn't really particularly incendiary. What it was a long-awaited coming of age for yet another NASCAR young gun. He knows about young guns. Let us briefly review Casey Kane's season and a half of eager anticipation. First of all, last year, only his second start. So close to beating Matt Kenseth at Rockingham, we figured, hey, how long could it take this kid to win? And then there was another near miss, wasn't there? Texas, runner-up to Elliott Sadler, and that kind of reinforced Casey's victory potential. And then the two that got away, Kane killing him at Dover, hit somebody else's oil, crashed. Killing him again at Charlotte, blown tire, pitched him in the wall. And another postponement of the inevitable. We move ahead to this year. Second to Jeff Gordon at Martinsville. That runs Casey Kane's string of runner-up finishes without a victory to 6. And that brings us to last night. He was on the pole. He was good all night. He raced it up big time with Tony Stewart, a man he admires, a man with whom he has had a couple of memorable run-ins, the man he identified as his choice to beat the night he finally won his first one. Some things just have a way of working out. Kane finally wins. Start number 47 sends his share of smoke into the Richmond night sky. Smoke himself, Tony Stewart, runs second and was among the first to congratulate the kid on the long-awaited, there'll never be another one quite like that one, first ever win in Nextel Cup. Now, Casey and Tony had a couple of pretty emotional dust-ups last year. You may remember their crews fighting and beating on each other, rolled on the ground at Chicagoland. But you know what? The respect they have for each other, pretty obvious last night and nice to see. You have a reputation for identifying and developing young drivers. He's not yours. Tell me how good Casey Kane can be. What's this kid's potential?
Well, I mean, the world's in front of him. I mean, I think, he's shown, when you go back over his history like you just did, Dave, it takes a lot for a driver to hang in there through all that. Yeah. I mean, that could beat up a lot of people. And again, my hat's off to Casey, hats off to Ray and his whole team. They hung in there, they persevered, and it finally paid off for them. I couldn't be happier for them as well as Dodge.
Big for Dodge. Let's consider those who had a lot less reason to smile last night. It was a bad night for the guys who had been good in the points. Jimmy Johnson got the worst of this little traffic jam, bounced off the inside wall. That hurt the Lowe's Chevy. En route back to pit road, something broke. The second impact killed the Lowe's Chevy. Jimmy's 127-point lead now down to 41. Avoiding this Rusty Wallace spin, Jeff Gordon bumped the wall. What did he call it? One of the dumbest things I've ever done, or something to that effect. Invisible but terminal damage to the right front moves Jeff from second to third in the standings. And for Kurt Busch, it's just bad luck. Lug nut jam between the brake rotor and the caliper. The fix cost him a lap. He wound up 17th and fell from 4th to 5th in the standings. And that leaves last week's co-host Greg Biffle as the big winner in the title chase. He's up a spot to second and just 41 points now behind Johnson. And one result of Jimmy's early departure is pulls more drivers, at least for now, into the chase for the championship. All the talk about the top 10. In reality, of course, the other criterion to qualify for the chase is 400 points behind the leader. 19 drivers in. Your guy at the end of that list, McMurray's in, of course, in 9th, but Sterling is 19th. My question about that is the sponsors. We heard all the gloom and doom last year. If your team doesn't get in, boy, your sponsor's just going to bail. You didn't get a team in. Did your sponsors, Coors, Haviland, Target, did they call you on the carpet? Chip, what's wrong here?
Well, first of all, thank you for mentioning all our sponsors, Dave.
In that context, I thought they deserved it. Go ahead.
They asked the question, and I think everybody went into last year with an open mind and said, look, NASCAR's trying something new. We'll roll with it here and see how it goes. And I think in the end, for us, they had some questions about it. But at the end of the day, I think it raised the whole level of the water, if you will, the chase for the chase for the cup, raised the whole level of water. Didn't raise anybody's individual boat, I think.
I got you.
To me, for us anyway, it seemed to bring more awareness to the whole thing.
They all came back, and I presume are happy as clams to be there.
Yes.
Couple more guys we want to talk about, including his guy from last night. A couple of the Dodge boys, in fact. This is Ryan Newman. Crunched up his good car, got about 25 laps in the backup, qualified third, came on strong at the end, challenged Stewart for the runner-up spot. He's solid in the chase, currently seventh in the points. And as for Jamie, well, McMurray had a great run going at the end of the race last night, got himself up to fourth, and then got all tangled up with Kyle Busch, and that bumped him all the way back to 10th at the end. It was frustrating for the driver, and I presume for the car owner who's co-hosting here tonight on Wind Tunnel. Jamie was hot and got in Kyle's face and gave him one of those finger-in-the-face lectures, and then I think it probably is all past. Let me ask you about the bigger picture. We heard so much about him last year. He's unhappy. He's leaving. Now he's running better. We don't hear that anymore. Is he a long-term Ganassi driver?
I would hope so. He has a contract with us, and that goes through next year. And I hope he's happy with us. I think if in any situation, if we're doing well and we're winning races and doing well, I would think the team would stay together. If we're not, I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of things change. So I think that's just part of the sport.
Biffle talked last week about how much more fun it is with the same team.
Sure.
Another winning races, so he's not going anywhere. I need to take a break. On that note, we're going to do that with a little trivia question. One of our guests tonight, Andy Granatelli, and he is the father of STP, if you will. It dawned on us. None of us actually knew what the letter stood for. Do you know? It's worth an autographed bobblehead for the first tunnel head to call and tell us what STP stands for. Kids, it is not Stone Temple Pilots.
Serious about dirt? So are we. Now Yamaha, the adrenaline specialists, has an offer that'll really get you pumping. Get any Yamaha for as low as $39 a month, plus up to $200 cash back.
You look great. You look great. You look great.
How do I look?
Bad poker face. Doesn't matter when you play online at partypoker.net. It's fun, it's free, it's the world's largest poker school.
Watch some flowers. Watch some flowers.
It's a proud day when you graduate from hot dogs and grill your first Johnsonville brat. So don't ruin it with a cattle prod. Sure, poke a dog or a burger. But never puncture a Johnsonville brat. Ever. When you learn how to keep all that juicy flavor inside a brat until it's safely tucked away, welcome to heaven on a bun. Welcome to Johnsonville.
If you added up all the hours you've spent rebuilding small blocks and boosting horsepower, you would have graduated from UTI by now. And you'd be getting paid for doing what you love. Find out how we can make you one of the best technicians in the world. Universal Technical Institute.
Juan Montoya wins the 84th running of the Indianapolis 500.
26-year-old Jamie McMurray pulls off the victory in just his second NASCAR Winston Cup start.
Checkered flag, this time by for 19-year-old Green Swords.
And Montoya, as a rookie, takes the championship.
Max Pappas not only wins
what are you talking about? The man's got stats. Impressive win and championship figures in open wheel and sports car racing. That stock car nut, perhaps a little more difficult to crack, but at least my co-host is not alone in that circumstance. Let's ask him about that. Chip Ganassi jetting in here to be my co-host this evening. You and Roger Penske, I mean, you have in common a couple of things. The fact that you both have great open wheel records and that neither of you has yet been able to get the Cup title. He's been at it a good bit longer than you have with Rusty. Why? Is it that much more competitive? Is it that simple?
Oh, I think a lot of reasons, Dave. I think it's certainly not for lack of trying on Roger's part, I know, and I would like to think that's the case on mine as well. I think it's something that I guess I grew up in IndyCar racing, so I have to learn about NASCAR, but I'm hard at it, and I think working at it's my strong suit. I think I don't think I shortchange anybody here in Concord at our shop. And we're
I'll buy that for the size of it.
Yeah, I mean we're trying to learn all about it. I mean, I think you have to be a student of these different series to understand them fully. And I got a great group of people I get to work with in it, and a great group of guys all over the shop there in Concord from top to bottom. And
how about
all I can tell you is I'm hard at it.
Have you got a time frame? Is it an open-ended?
Well, I hope it doesn't take as long as it took Jack Roush or some of these other people. You know, a lot of people have come down. It's taken a long time, but look at how it's paying off for Jack now. I mean, he wins about every third week.
With that, let's go to email, and I warn you in advance, the tunnel heads tend not to pull any punches.
Sure.
Chip, I defy you to look into the camera and say you're okay with the fan count at the typical IRL race. All it would take is you and another team owner returning to the series that made you who you are today, and this sad open-wheel melee would be over pronto. And please don't regurgitate the typical nonsense about, quote, this is where our sponsors want us, unquote. Benjamin Quinby in Portland, Oregon. What would you have to say?
Okay, Benjamin, where's the camera here? Which camera am I looking at? Camera 3.
That's this one over here.
Okay, Benjamin. I have a lot more money invested in kart than you might think. Okay, over the years, and I did my best to try to help that series grow with building a racetrack in Chicago, and it was for naught. It was all for naught, I guess. So I had to go where I knew there was going to be long-term stability, and that right now for me is in the IRL.
The knock, of course, is, well, yeah, but wait, Chip, you were making all the decisions as if you were alone. The point being that CART was the car owners, that you and Roger and some of these guys who have since defected maybe were to some extent responsible for the series' demise. How do you plead?
I plead, yes, I was in the room, but I have to tell you that I was not in the club. Okay, I was in the room, but not in the club. Does that make sense to everyone out there?
Well, it does. Maybe if you elaborate and name names.
I really had very little say so in what went on at CART there. I mean, I guess I was certainly a part of it, yes, because I was in the room. But as I look back on it, I did not. I didn't have much say-so at the end of the day.
I'm going to weigh in on one reason why sponsors really might prefer the IRL a little later on. That's going to be in my take. Let me ask you about engines. Mm-hmm. We know Chevy's gone, and I know you've heard this story, very popular among critics of the IRL, that Honda will go to Cup, and when they go, Honda will go because they only want to race. I said Honda, I meant Toyota. Mm-hmm. Toyota will go to Cup. Honda will go, too, because they only want to race Toyota, and the IRL will have no engines. What's going to happen there?
Right, I don't know. I mean, believe me, everyone thinks I know things about Toyota or Honda or Chevrolet, and I really don't. I mean, I know.
Well, you know how long your deal is.
I know how long my deal is with them, and I'm happy with that. It's as long as it's ever been.
You're about to tell us how long it is.
Well, no, but I can tell you that it's certainly as long an engine contract as I've ever had. So I'm not overly concerned about it in the short term. I guess long term, I'm always concerned about the health of a particular series we're in.
Sure.
And I see it getting healthier over the long term. So if Chevrolet in fact goes away, I mean, I've heard everything. Chevrolet is going away, but coming back as a Cadillac. And I've heard that. Yes, I've heard Toyota's leaving. I've heard Honda's leaving. I hear all those rumors. I just wish that all these people that email these rumors in would devote that energy toward positive things in this sport. There's a lot of great things happen in open wheel racing and in NASCAR that we never talk about.
Let's go to the phones real quickly. Maybe we'll talk about them now. I got Robert on the line from South Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Robert, you're on with Despain and Chip Ganassi. Take your pick.
Hi, how you doing, Dave?
Good.
I'm a big fan of the show. And thank you, Chip, for taking a chance to listen to my question. Listen, I have been hearing big-time rumors regarding Toyota once the end of the series, and was wondering, first of all, what is your contract situation with Dodge, and when Toyota gets in the Cup, would you switch to Toyota, or are you devoted to Dodge 100%?
Got it. You and Roger are both frequently mentioned in that context because he's a big Toyota dealer, and you have an obvious connection with Toyota.
I'm very happy with Dodge. I was very happy when they came into the formula, and I'm happy to be with them as long as they want to be in NASCAR.
If Toyota said to you, "We're coming, and we want you to be the team,"
well, if they came and I can assure you they have not said that to me in the least, or even come close to saying something like that. And if they did, I would tell them, look, I have a contract. And when that contract's up, we'll talk about it.
There you go. It's just like running a business, isn't it?
Interestingly enough, it is.
Still to come on Wind Tunnel, we've got IRL owner Sam Schmidt coming in to enjoy the conversation and tell us about his day up there at qualifying. Got a new deal for this year's 500, his best shot yet at winning. And a little later, Andy Granatelli. Back in the day, everybody knew that famous face. We hope to find out the secret of his success and what STP means. Call us.
NASCAR Nation. With every race, there's a story to be told.
Omaha's at Bristol, imagine that.
But it isn't always about who won.
That is the man.
Sometimes it's about the guy in the middle of the pack.
Hang in there with it.
And his crew in the pits, giving it all they've got. And NASCAR Nation puts you in the middle of the drama.
Hot racing, hot tempers, I will bite back.
Declare your citizenship to NASCAR Nation. Monday through Thursday, 7 Eastern and Pacific, exclusively on Speed.
Dad, what's up with that mascot? He's not moving.
He's not moving.
Once you try a tasty, fresh, toasted Italian BMT sub from Subway restaurants, you'll forget everything else.
I think he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
Judgment Day has arrived. 2 souls condemned, sentenced to ruin, will battle with every last breath until one man's will finally quits. John Cena, JBL, and I Quit match for the WWE Championship. WWE Judgment Day. Live Sunday, May 22nd on DirecTV pay-per-view.
The biggest and baddest men on the planet enter the cage. With a combined weight over 700 pounds, world super heavyweight champion Eric Pele redefines mortal sin with his deadly punches. When he takes on Scary Jerry Verbanovic and his atomic knees, is Scary Jerry up for the challenge? Or is he just dead weight? Eric Pele versus Scary Jerry, King of the Cage, Mortal Sin. Available on DirecTV pay-per-view.
A three-way MotoGP fight in France today. American Colin Edwards, his Yamaha teammate number 46, world champ Valentino Rossi, and up from the back Honda challenger Sete Gibernau, going at it big time. Colin eventually lost the pace, and Rossi got out in front when it mattered. And we all knew Gibernau was going to run right up there and get his revenge for what happened in Spain. But you know what? If you can't catch him, you can't hit him. Depending on which day of the week you check the internet rumors, you may think it's a done deal. Rossi will replace Michael Schumacher in Formula One in the Ferrari in 2007. It's based on an Italian, you like that, an Italian newspaper interview with Rossi's Yamaha team boss. The way I read the denials, I think that's 10% possibility and 90% Italian newspaper wishful thinking. And here's the flip side. Did you hear this? Alain Prost predicting this week Schumacher will retire at the end of the year, to which Michael said, my ideas are different from Prost's, which is not exactly the same thing as saying I'm not going to retire at the end of the year, which is exactly what keeps rumors like that floating. Let's go to the phones. Rusty in Ogdensburg, New Jersey. Rusty, what's up, buddy?
Oh, Dave, I tell you what. I saw that motorcycle race today. I've never watched one before, but today I just happened to catch the last 20 laps.
Uh-huh.
I was stuck.
You like that stuff?
I'm a dirt track nut. Like NASCAR. It was just taken aback like you couldn't believe
by the last 20 laps of that race.
I've been telling you guys.
Worth and Rossi, I mean, wow.
What appeals to you most? You're a dirt track guy. Do you know anything about road racing? Are you a fan of any other kinds of road racing?
I love road racing of all kinds. I love NASCAR's road racing more than their short track or their big track racing.
Oh, I got you. I misunderstood. I thought you're a road racing fan, but not seeing the two.
I love dirt track racing. I'm a short track, half mile dirt track nut.
I got
That's what I was born and raised on. But I watched that race today after listening to you talk forever about motorcycles, and what a race to be engaged in.
Can we assume?
This thing was awesome.
I'm getting the picture, Rusty. Can we assume you'll watch the rest of the season on Speed Channel?
Oh, without a doubt.
Can anybody catch Rossi? Can anybody beat Rossi? Is he destined to be world champion again?
Not by watching him today.
All right,
I
man.
mean, well, damn. And then an hour later, I caught the race from Infineon. I was like, wow. This is, I mean,
Rusty, I have to cut the commercial short now because I have other commercials to do. Thanks, man. We're glad to have you aboard. I got to move on. The meaning of STP, the simple 3 letters. Let's see if we can give away a bobblehead. Tim, Akron, Ohio. What does STP stand for?
I think it's scientifically tested product.
Scientifically tested product. Close, but no cigar. Thanks for calling. Let's go to Albert in Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson?
Yeah.
STP.
It stands for Standard Temperature and Pressure.
Well, it does. What the hell? We got to give you a bobblehead, too, because I think that's accurate, although not in the context that we're asking. Stay on the line. We'll give you a bobblehead. We're talking about the stuff in the can with the circle and the red label. You know what it means?
I think I do, Dave. Should I tell everyone?
You don't get the bobblehead if you know. Yeah, we don't want to know. What does STP stand for? Want to try one more? All right, let's go. Larry Leadfoot, San Fernando, California. Larry, STP, what's it stand for?
Scientifically treated petroleum.
Scientifically treated petroleum is the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen. Larry Leadfoot in San Fernando, California.
No, it's Leadford in San Bernardino, California.
Well, close enough. I thought Leadfoot was a lot better name. Larry, stay on the line. We'll get somebody who knows the difference between San Fernando and wherever you live to take your address so we can send you a bobblehead. I thought that went really well, didn't you?
Very good, very good.
We're going to give him a break. We're going to have Sam Schmidt in here for a couple of blocks. That's all going to start right after the commercial break. We unloaded the STP freebie. Later on, we have the STP guy here. It's going to be a fun couple hours. Don't go anywhere.
Next Sunday on Speed, from go-kart champ to NASCAR champ.
You know me, I'm always a pest.
Tony Stewart has smoked them all.
You ain't spitting in my eye.
When I have my show, I'll start picking, but this is your show.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and co-host Tony Stewart. Next Sunday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on Speed.
What's the difference between Honda performance on land and on water? Absolutely nothing. The Aquatrax, pure Honda performance. With freedom of choice financing, get low payments, low interest rates, even bonus bucks. Now you've got the freedom to choose. See dealer for details.
You want my advice? You should never.
This is different.
Only at Fridays, new Steakhouse Selects. Choose your cut in one of our signature butter sauces, like roasted pepper or wild mushroom. It'll leave you speechless. Everyone could use more Fridays.
Pass on that? No.
Hey, Angie. Going to the post office?
Post office?
Angie, post office, 3 seconds.
No matter how many packages you need to send, you don't have to go to the post office. Just log on to USPS.com. Pay postage, get insurance, print labels, and we'll pick them up for free.
I'm at the post office.
Just one more way the U.S. Postal Service is working for you.
Look at him. He thinks this is his truck, but he's wrong. This is my truck. 8 years I've sat here. 130,000 miles of wind have passed through this nose. This truck is mine. but he does protect it.
Help extend the life of your engine with Castrol GTX High Mileage, specially formulated to protect against oil burn-off better than competitive leading oils.
Nice man. Nice man.
Help older cars feel young again with Castrol GTX High Mileage.
Back in 1999, Sam Schmidt won the Las Vegas IRL race from the pole and was a contender for the championship going into the last race of the year, but this crash cost him his title shot. A testing mishap shortly thereafter ended his driving career. Confined to a wheelchair, Sam became an owner. His car won last year's Infiniti Pro Series title and leads this year's standings, but you know what? Right now he is fired up about the Indy 500. A big-time sponsor deal has given him and driver Richie Hearn their best shot yet at the Memorial Day Classic, and Sam has had a long day at the Speedway. It's cold up there. Sam, I appreciate you staying up for us tonight. Nice to have you here.
Anytime. I love the show, and it's a pleasure to be on it.
I know the sponsorship package is big news, but let's deal with first things first. Your driver was frustrated after qualifying today, said he really didn't know why the car wasn't fast enough to get out of its own way. I know that's music to the ears of the owner. You know, he was 20th of 22. He's in solidly. After you did all the downloading and analyzing, did you figure anything out? Because he obviously knew he could go faster.
Well, it's obviously become extremely competitive up here, and we did focus primarily Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on our full tank race setup, and kind of got caught out a little bit on Friday without any qualifying practice when the rain came in Friday afternoon. And you know, frankly, we've got a great group of guys and a great package, and I know I have a good race package on the 29th, but not a lot of consolation to Richie. I mean, he knows it's a good opportunity for him and for our team, and we all wanted to qualify in the top 10 and thought we had the potential to do it.
The key is to be in, of course. We've grown accustomed to seeing you and Richie pull off the annual end zone catch, some kind of last-minute deal, getting a shot at the 500. This year is very different from that. What's the story?
Well, you know, basically, Meyer and Coca-Cola have given us a great opportunity this year. We've been working on this for, gosh, the last 6 months. As soon as they announced the fact that the Infiniti Pro Series race would be on Carburation Day, that really opened up an opportunity for us to be able to run the whole month of May and do it properly. And as most people know, I mean, Richie hasn't had an opportunity to run the whole month since 1996 when he finished third. So we definitely think he's got the potential to take the car to the front, and obviously, you know, Meyer and Coca-Cola do as well. And we're just proud to be in the show, but looking forward to the 29th.
The colors are well known. Ari Landijk, of course, ran that sponsorship package. Tell me about you and Richie. I know you both live in the same town outside Las Vegas. Beyond that, there's obviously some link here, something that keeps you guys coming back every year. Why does this partnership work?
Well, I think generally speaking, the fact that this is such a team sport is not as pronounced as it should be. I mean, we've got a great engineer, Tim Neff, that's been with me for now 5 years as a team owner. He and Richie get along really well. And going back to 2002, I mean, we really didn't have the greatest resources out there, but we managed a 6th place finish. And I think Richie's one of the most underrated drivers out there in the sport right now. And we both do live in Las Vegas, but you know, when it comes to making the sponsors happy, the bottom line is you have to perform. And I think our team and the crew chief and the people involved can get the job done.
What is the most important thing that this additional support is going to get you? Is it parts? Is it people? Is it the luxury of more track time? What's the difference this year?
All the above, really. I mean, the fact that we were out here at 12 o'clock on Tuesday, the day we opened, is a huge improvement over the last couple of years, where we have had to do last-minute deals, and you know, having the right amount of motors and a backup car and you know, the proper crew. I mean, all these things are things that we have not had the last 2 years. So, of course, the competition has risen substantially over the last 3 or 4 years. So it's all weighted out.
Let's touch on Infinity Pro. You won that championship last year with Tiago Medeiros. Won the opener this year with Travis Gregg. There's always a second car from your stable with a revolving cast of drivers. I presume that's a rental ride that helps pay for it all. My question is, the series itself, is it going to become a meaningful stepping stone for the drivers hoping to get into an Indy car? Is it that now, or can it become that?
I think it definitely is. I mean, from the drivers that we've seen come through the series and get into the IRL, the horsepower and I guess the technical side of the car is very similar to an IRL car. So we've been able to see the drivers step immediately from these cars, being 425 horsepower, into the IRL car, and immediately just be able to understand the technical side of an IRL car. So I'm hoping, obviously, the series will evolve to where there's more and more drivers making it to the IRL from there, as opposed to maybe coming over from some of the European series.
And on that note, I need a quick commercial break. Hang with me a minute. We'll come back on the other side, continue our conversation with Sam Schmidt as he prepares for the Indy 500. And ahead, what does the future hold for Coors Light NASCAR driver Sterling Marlin? We'll tackle that issue with his car owner, Chip Ganassi. And what does Robin Miller think of this week's action at Indy? He'll be joining us in just a bit, along with Mr. 500, Andy Granatelli, about the short-lived glory days of the turbine car, and Johnny Carson as a driver.
Monday night is NASCAR night. Catch NASCAR Nation, Inside NASCAR.com, and NBS 24/7. NASCAR TV gets you inside the action.
Gonna win this thing.
Monday nights beginning 7 Eastern and Pacific, only on Speed.
Suzuki motorcycles and ATVs have been making hearts race for years. Suzuki Fest is no different. APR as low as 6.95% on select motorcycles and ATVs. Monthly payments starting at just $67. Race in, ride off.
Do you dream of sheet metal and burning rubber? Then you need the Castrol engine block on Speed.
Before the final rounds, take another look at the biggest hands, best bluffs, and funniest moments. The Michael Waldrop Celebrity Poker Tournament. The highlights.
Only on Speed. You have won $1 million.
Brendan, I am your father.
No, you're not. You just want my money.
Brendan, I am your uncle. Brendan, wait.
Play Choose Your Destiny at BK. Every game piece can win. Star Wars Episode 3 is in theaters May 19th.
There's a better way to mow a lot more grass in a lot less time. And that's why more landscape professionals trust the zero-turn technology of an Exmark Laser Z. Now you too can take advantage of this industry-leading performance on your property. You'll be impressed with the maneuverability, faster ground speeds, and the quality of cut. So mow like a pro and be done in about half the time on the last mower you'll ever need to buy. An Exmark Laser Z.
Great example of the safer barrier at Indianapolis at work. Darren Manning, look at the thing give. He was uninjured. Same view of Paul Dana's hit. He'd scrubbed off less speed and as a result suffered 2 fractured vertebrae, and that's not good, but we are left to contemplate how much worse it might have been. The good news, Dana released today from Indianapolis Methodist Hospital. And that brings us back to Sam Schmidt. Sam, by all accounts, your crash at the Disney World Speedway in 2000, very similar to that, except for safer barriers, except for the attenuators on the back of the car. We can't go back, would that we could, but as we go forward from here, where would you like to see the focus in IndyCar safety research? What's the problem area you're concerned about now, if any?
Well, geez, I mean, we've made so many advances in the last 5 years. I mean, there's really multiple, and I actually give a lot of credit to Tony for investing a ton of money in the safer barrier process, and you know, it's a constant evolution. I mean, they keep trying to slow the cars down, and And here we are now, 5 miles an hour, 6 miles an hour faster than we were this time last year. So I'm not exactly sure that the technological advances on the safer side can keep up with the speed we keep creating. But
so let me ask you, what should the speed be? If you can't break the track record, does it matter whether you're going 228 or 218 or 208?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a fan perspective, it really doesn't matter that much. I mean, I think nobody likes to see anybody get hurt, but by the same token, I mean, racers are racers, and the guys on the technical side are severely outnumbered on the IRL side of things by 200 engineers making a whole lot of money. So it's a tough balancing board, that's for sure.
It's a separate issue. One more safety thing before we move on. Separate in that it's a spectator safety issue as much or more than a driver safety issue. Sam Hornish, this week again, the IndyCar backflipping. Sam ran over debris from that Paul Dana crash. He had time to slow down a good bit before the launch point. Unlike Mario Andretti 3 years ago, we're left to wonder how Hornish's altitude might have compared with Mario's in this astonishing 2003 flight if Hornish had been flat out. The question is how to prevent that. I mean, you're a car owner. Does that kind of crash concern you in particular, and do you have any thoughts on how we keep those cars on the ground?
I mean, gosh, it definitely concerns me a lot, especially from where I'm sitting. I mean, I'm definitely as much concerned about safety as anybody out there. It's just one of those situations where you can see that huge piece of debris sitting in the middle of the track, and you're like, I'm thinking in my mind in slow motion, don't hit it, don't hit it. And sure enough, went straight over the center of the thing. But we spend so much time and effort making these cars stick to the ground at speed that, once you get them started up in the air, I'm not really sure from an aerodynamic standpoint to how to make them immediately go back down to the ground. It's in a reverse effect once you get them off the ground, which we saw a little bit today with I believe, Ryan's situation, where the car got a little bit airborne and it got a little air under it, but at the same time, once it did, it seemed to come down, pretty quick. So you definitely, going back to your main point, though, you definitely don't want to see that have any negative effect as far as the fans as well.
I'll just note that you have been favorably compared with Christopher Reeve, and leave it at that with our congratulations for that comparison. I know you'd rather not be, because I want to close with a look to the future. You've got the race coming up Memorial Day. You got this new opportunity. Might this lead to something bigger down the road, and what would it take to satisfy you on Memorial Day? Anything short of victory?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a good clean day, and I think our goals coming to this thing were to run in the top 10 all day, and hopefully come up with a top 5 to 6 finish for Meyer and Coca-Cola. I mean, we certainly don't have the resources of my buddy Chip there in the studio, and Roger and those guys, but it certainly is a pleasure to be out here every year and compete in the 500. We are primarily focused on winning the IPS championship again this year, and winning a lot of races there, and continuing to develop some drivers over there. But who knows down the road what that'll develop to. I'd love to get back in the IRL full time, but it obviously takes a lot of resources to do that, and a lot of corporate involvement. And I'm still kind of new at being an owner, so we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully that'll get some more people interested down the road.
You may be new at it, but you're doing a great job, and we're all pulling for you. Congratulations on the success thus far, and I hope it's a great Indianapolis for you. Thanks again, Sam, for taking time for us tonight. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it, too.
Sam Schmidt, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we'll take a commercial break. We'll get the aforementioned Mr. Ganassi right back in here and tackle this big pile of stock car questions that have accumulated from all you tunnel heads out there. We'll be right back.
Michael Waltrip isn't worried about top 10s, pit stops, or even bump drafting. What he is thinking about is whether or not Tony Stewart is bluffing.
What do you want me to do?
The Michael Waltrip Celebrity Poker Tournament continues with another look at the biggest hand, best bluffs, and funniest moments.
Nice check, you jerk.
The Michael Waltrip Celebrity Poker Tournament. The highlights, Thursday, 9 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Speed.
Go
GoMotorBids.com is the internet's premier online auction dedicated exclusively to automotive die-cast collectibles, toys, and racing memorabilia. If you're looking for rare, out-of-production models, artwork, or autographed items, you'll find them and much, much more at GoMotorBids.com. We positively guarantee no fraud. Log on today and bid with confidence at GoMotorBids.com. No fraud, no junk, no phantom bidding, no reserves, no matter what. GoMotorBids.com. Go get it.
Now, from Avacor, one of the most trusted names in hair regrowth, there's today's Avacor with Boost that gives you visibly thicker hair with the first application. With today's Avacor, you get twice the benefits. Avacor's Boost instantly improves the appearance of your existing hair, while the physician's formulation goes to work on balding areas.
The main reason for thinning hair and baldness is hereditary hair loss. Just because there is a family history of hair loss doesn't mean you have to suffer. The problem is toxic degeneration of the hair follicle. Avacor targets the hair follicle to reverse hair loss, improve blood flow, and stimulate new hair growth.
This user went from this to this in just 3 months with Avacor. And remember, Avacor Boost will improve your hair's appearance the day you receive your order. We're giving away a free month of Avacor with all of today's orders. Call 800-347-1444. That's 800-347-1444. 800-347-1444.
Any remaining doubt that Sterling Marlin will be leaving Target Ganassi Racing at the end of the year, I think was pretty much eliminated when Sterling came to the Trackside Show last weekend. Give a listen.
So you definitely will not be at Ganassi Racing in 05, or is that still an option?
They ain't told me yet. I don't think I'll be there. No, the way it looks, and really hadn't talked Chip, so would be wild if we went up top 10 in points.
Wait, time out here. Now, wait a minute. I see Chip Ganassi at the racetrack. Obviously, you're at the racetrack. Can you say, hey, Chip, let's go talk for a second?
I'm waiting on him. So, like I said, more or less a free agent this year, and got a great group of guys over there. Just love them to death, and hate to leave, but looks like the demographics may get you.
Demographics. Chip is back, and I have the same question as Larry. I mean, why haven't you guys talked? What's going on? Is there more to the story here?
I think there's a little more to the story, gentlemen. The story is where it's the end of a contract we did with Sterling, and I'll tell you, he does seem to be perked up in his driving this year, and nothing would make me happier than to see him win a race and make me go back and say, Sterling, we had some plans, and I got to change them now. I would love to change my plans and say, Sterling, let's renew your contract and let's sit down and do another deal. But there are a lot of people involved. People think that the car owner is dealing in a vacuum and he's the only decision maker in these processes. And we have a lot of things we look at when we look at drivers long term. And Sterling's been a great partner of Felix and myself for such a long time. And like I said, it's the end of his contract. Nothing would make me happier than to see him win a race and say, Sterling, I can't let a race winner go down the road.
So there is a performance issue and an age issue. He perceives an age issue. Is he too old?
I don't know that. I don't know what is too old these days. I'm really not sure. I mean, I think it has become a younger man's game. That's not saying I want to throw that all older drivers are no good, but there does come that question that other people would ask.
Coors want a younger guy?
The beer companies do. They market to a younger demographic, and but as in all sponsors and all companies, there are people within a company that love the driver, and other people in the companies that don't love the driver. Just the same with the owner. No. So I mean, everyone's all over the board on whether they like someone or not.
Note to Sterling: Chip may not be talking to you. Go win a race. That would be my suggestion. Let's follow that thread, if we may, because we got lots and lots of emails about your drivers. Will you make a driver change in the Target car soon if Casey doesn't improve? What do you expect from that team? I keep thinking Reed would be perfect in that ride down the road. This guy calls himself DJ Earthquake.
Yeah, again, we're about winning races, and if we're not winning races, we're going to look at the reason why, and we're going to try to focus on that reason. And if we have to change anyone from the top to the bottom of the organization, including the driver, is a possibility if we deem that as a reason. Again, Casey made 3 years ago. We brought him into Cup. He made a great step last year, and we've seen him maybe step back a little bit this year. So I'm looking for some performance out of Casey, and throughout the rest of the season.
In general terms, is this NASCAR trend toward younger and younger drivers good for the sport, number one? And number two, where is the best place for the young driver to go if he wants to catch your attention?
Again, Dave, there's no one way to get there. If you look at David Stremme, who's in our driver development program, Ryan Hemphill, Reed Sorensen, these guys all came through ASA, and then ASA, and then the ABC program, ARCA Busch Cup. We'd like to keep them in that. Again, now you see ASA going through some changes. I don't know whether it's good or bad or not. I think the guys do have to get, and this comes from USAC, where they get a good knowledge. I think at a young age, it's great to get a good understanding of mechanical grip of a car. I think aerodynamics are a lot easier to learn than how to make a car work mechanically. So that's what I like about whether it's USAC or ASA is, you've got a car going at a certain speed that you do have to employ mechanical grip. And I think that's what I look for from a young guy. It's always easier, I think, to teach them the aero side.
Which of those three guys that you named will be first to Cup? Stremme, Sorensen, Hemphill?
Well, I think Sorensen and Stremme are head and shoulders above some of the other guys right now, just in terms of their calendar. So I would look for those two probably before any. We have Scott Lagasse back there, and Ryan Hemphill, some other guys.
You got more good young guns than you got available seats right at the moment. We will keep an eye on that. Still to come on this edition of Wind Tunnel. We're going to try to keep Robin Miller and Chip Ganassi from putting on the verbal boxing gloves. Or maybe I won't. And we're going to talk to the man who put the famed STP logo on the side of King Richard's Mopar. That became the longest-running sponsorship in racing history. Andy Granatelli also gave Mario Andretti that famous victory lane kiss. Stick around. We'll be back right after this.
Next Sunday on Speed, from go-kart champ to NASCAR champ.
You know me, I'm always a pest.
Tony Stewart has smoked them all.
You ain't spitting in my eye.
When I have my show, I'll start picking, but this is your show.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and co-host Tony Stewart. Next Sunday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on Speed.
Look at him. He thinks this is his truck, but he's wrong. This is my truck. 8 years I've sat here. 130,000 miles of wind have passed through this nose. This truck is mine, but he does protect it.
Help extend the life of your engine with Castrol GTX High Mileage, specially formulated to protect against oil burn-off better than competitive leading oils.
Nice man. Nice man.
Help older cars feel young again with Castrol GTX High Mileage.
Hey, Angie. Going to the post office?
Post office? Angie, post office, 3 seconds.
No matter how many packages you need to send, you don't have to go to the post office. Just log on to USPS.com, pay postage, get insurance, print labels, and we'll pick them up for free.
I'm at the post office.
Just one more way the U.S. Postal Service is working for you.
Orca! Orca! Oh, I love Orca.
Oh, I thought you loved humpbacks.
I recently changed my mind.
Go where you want with Avis. Just go to avis.com to find our best cars and our lowest prices every time. Avis.com, a better way to start your trip.
The Castrol Engine Block, Saturday and Sunday mornings beginning at 7 Eastern, only on Speed.
Before the final rounds, take another look at the biggest hands, best bluffs, and funniest moments. The Michael Waldrop Celebrity Poker Tournament, the highlights.
Only on Speed.
Hi, right, we're going to go straight to the phones here because we kind of got behind on our phone call thing going on, and so let's do that right now. Let's go to line 3. Daniel is on the line from San Antonio, Texas. Daniel, you're on with Despain and Chip. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Dave.
How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chip.
Good evening.
I'm glad to be on. I love the show. Tell the sponsors that I'd love to see you on, like you were last year, every day, because it's really getting hard to get through.
Okay.
Got a question for Mr. Chip there.
Yep.
Wondering if there's any what your outlook on is. What's the significant differences between your open wheel and the NASCAR as far as sponsorship goes? I know you need tens and tens of millions of dollars to go on both of them, probably more on the open wheel. But as far as sponsors go, do you see a significant difference on a challenge of trying to get sponsors to go from one as opposed to the other, or is it just trying to get the right man with the right money and to put seats in the car?
Yep.
And,
okay.
and
Let's
for
look.
whatever it's worth, keep Sterling in the car. He's good for the sport. He's good for your team. And if he wasn't hurt 2 years ago, he'd bought you a championship in NASCAR.
I agree.
All right.
Well, thank you, Daniel. That's a good question. I think, first of all, you should know that I think a NASCAR budget these days is exceeding an IRL budget. It didn't used to be that way 5 years ago. It's a little more expensive now in Cup than the open wheel side, just in terms of per car per year. But also the fans. There's a lot more awareness these days of NASCAR. So yes, it is easier in that respect to the people know what you're talking about. But on the other hand, there are those companies that like the differentiation, and they don't want to be on the same path as everyone else. They want to be on their own path, or maybe a path that's not so crowded or something like that. So and there are companies out there for both. So I guess in terms of awareness, it's probably more difficult in IRL or open wheel racing. But in terms of the return, I think you can get returns.
Isn't there less pressure in the IRL because the engine manufacturers are, shall we say, generous, or is that an overrated source
I think
of revenue?
I think that's an oversimplification. I mean, they want results too, and and certainly they're involved a little more with the teams than in the past. But at the same time, these companies. Again, it's a wash, I think, Dave, when you compare it to the Cup side. At least in my team, it is.
Let's go to John in Canton, Ohio. John, what's on your mind tonight? Quickly, if we could.
That truck race today in Mansfield, Dave.
Yes, sir.
The race was great. The facility was great for having a tornado go through there on Friday.
Yep.
And everything was clean, but that call that they made with Hornaday was absolutely the worst call I've ever seen made.
You felt that this was the restart call. They ruled that Hornaday jumped the restart, and you thought what? That he did not jump it?
I watched him every restart, and he made his restart the exact same place every time. And had they black flagged him earlier, if they were going to do that 50 laps earlier, he still would have won the race.
Got
slap in the face to all Ohio fans.
You're say that last part again. I missed that.
I think it's a slap in the face to all Ohio fans.
How so?
We should have been able to see Ron Hornaday, the king of all restarts, win the Ohio 250. It's just not right, Dave.
All right, John, we got it. We appreciate the opinion. Note to Ron Hornaday. It's okay to jump it. Don't jump it by quite that much. Maybe don't make it quite so obvious. We need a break. I know he's just dying to get his hooks into Robin Miller.
No.
We've made him wait long enough. We'll give you that opportunity when we come back. Chip Ganassi, IndyCar owner, among other things. Robin Miller, sort of just bad-mannered big mouth in a moment.
NASCAR Nation, from racing in the heartland
full throttle every week
to life in the limelight.
Oh my God, Toby Keith!
It's NASCAR on the Speed Channel. Declare your citizenship to NASCAR Nation, Monday through Thursday, 7 Eastern and Pacific on Speed.
Parts, give me more parts. At AutoZone, I can find the right part. Parts. Give me tailgate, engine, piston, bumper. At AutoZone, gonna get the right part.
Now AutoZone has over 750,000 parts. New and performance parts, collision parts, and now salvage parts. So you don't need to call your car dealer, search through special order catalogs, or go to salvage yards. AutoZone, the only stop you need for the quality parts you're looking for.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Parts.
He's not moving.
Once you try a tasty, fresh, toasted Italian BMT sub from Subway restaurants, you'll forget everything else.
I think he's dead.
No, he's not dead.
All the lightsaber skills and all the force powers can't save you from the one thing you can never escape: your destiny. Star Wars Episode 3, the video game. Before you see the movie, live it. Rated 18.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do we. That's why you trust Lowe's for appliances. Not because Lowe's has the most innovative or the largest selection in stock, or because only Lowe's has this new Maytag Neptune washer with the largest available capacity. So large it can even wash a king-size comforter. Or because nobody works harder to save you money every day, which Lowe's promises to do. You see, at Lowe's, improving home improvement never ends.
Now get free next-day delivery in Holloway when you spend $397 or more on any appliance.
Welcome back to the TV show. Without further ado, we're going to bring Robin Miller in here. He's live up in Indianapolis. Miller, I have a challenge for you. I want you to tell me something that I haven't already heard, probably repeatedly, about Indy 500 qualifying today. You up for that?
Dave, you heard it. We're going to have a breaking story here on Wind Tunnel tonight. Tony George and A.J. Foyt just met secretly under the grandstands here a little while ago, and I was listening in. And Foyt had Tony around the throat and said, if we don't get 3.5 liters for them Toyotas, I ain't never coming back here. And you heard it here first. Ganassi's got a Toyota, and they're all getting 3.5-liter engines, and they're wiping out qualifying, and they're starting all over again next week. 33 guys in one day.
Well done, Miller. I had not heard that anywhere else all day.
I told you.
Before we go any further, let me roll a 20-year-old piece of videotape. It is videotape of my co-host tonight, Chip Ganassi, in an horrendous crash in Michigan in 1984. Why would we show this back in the days when Chip was a racer? Couple of reasons. One, it's TV. We're always looking for an excuse to show a big crash. Two, much more important, Robin Miller says Chip was not nearly as nice a guy before his head injury. Chip, that is the kind of insult that you have become accustomed to taking and putting up with from this guy. Here's your shot. I owe you this. You busted your butt to be here on the show tonight. Have at him. Any way you want to insult him, and then we'll let him continue with his report. Gloves are off.
Gloves are off?
Absolutely.
You ready, Miller?
I'm ready. Bring it on, son.
I think you're the most knowledgeable journalist in IndyCar racing, and I want to thank you for how much you care about our sport.
You know, I hate you. I've always hated you. If you can't tell the truth, don't. Now, Spain, I want you to listen to this, David. One of the reasons that Ganassi and I have this kind of neat little adversarial relationship is we're both assholes, and we don't care if anybody likes us.
Adversarial? He just paid you the sweetest compliment I've ever heard anybody, and had to go to some trouble, I would think, to make up something like that. And look at you. Look how you're behaving.
No, because I used to roast him at his Christmas party, and Juan Montoya came up to me afterwards and said, that's the nastiest 15 minutes I've ever heard. And he said, but I was watching Chip, and he said, he kept smiling. I said, he's a beat freak. He likes it.
My daughter's watching the show tonight.
I think your daughter's
refrain
lovely.
From that type of language.
Yeah.
I know. The producers are screaming at me. I forgot it was cable.
I know.
Listen, I heard two questions for Chip Ganassi. One, do you really think your Toyota engine's the same as Roger Penske? And please be honest.
No, I don't.
And what can you do about that?
Nothing.
Dave, he answered a question. That's good.
He's taking all the wind out of your sails.
But I don't think it's no. Look. Hey, Roger's a great competitor, and he, he's getting the most out of his team right now, and my hat's off to him. I mean, he's doing a better job than we are. End of story. I mean,
what's the implication of your question, Robin?
My implication was we've heard all along that maybe Penske's got different heads and they build their own engines and nobody really knows what goes on there, even though there's a Toyota technician there with them. And judging, I mean, I don't think Scott Dixon's forgotten how to race, and Manning's pretty good, and Briscoe was a Formula One test driver, and they're just getting pummeled in these races because they're out horsepowered. It appears from the naked eye. So I just wondered, because Toyota keeps saying, no, everybody's got the same stuff.
Well, that's like saying in Cup. I was in Richmond there, and everybody's got the same stuff there too, but there does seem to be some cars that are faster than others for some odd reason.
Yeah.
So he's not going to beat up on Roger for cheating. So what else you got?
I wasn't trying to say he was cheating this time. I was just implying that maybe they had some different things. Secondly, I tried to get Ganassi to answer this on the record the other day, and he blew me off, so I flattened some of his tires, but he didn't know that. Do you like Mario Andretti's idea, common engine, common chassis, so at least maybe open-wheel racing can have 50 cars at Indy again in the near future?
Well, I think, you know, hey, I was for common engines and common chassis years ago, and, you know, I think the problem with that, or the challenge there is, I think that seems to do more, that does more to bring kart the way of the IRL, and I don't know what it does for the IRL.
Well, instead of having this dog and pony show where you can qualify 12 times in one car, it brings competition back. When you drove here, you only got 3 attempts, and it meant something to make this race. What are you talking about? And you used to be kart. Don't give me that kart stuff like you didn't have anything to do with it, Michael Andretti. You used to be kart.
Now,
he's already answered that one, Robert.
Thank you. I've already answered that one already.
Well, not to me. He never answers to me. All right, here's my third question. Never
mind answering the second one. Go ahead. You got a minute left.
4 years ago, I told Ganassi for $250,000 I would be his friend and sit in his hospitality tent so he'd have somebody in there during the day. I now ask you, are you ready to pay me?
I didn't know we were going to talk about money tonight.
That's all Robin cares about. He's a desperate man.
Yeah, that's why I work for Speed.
Miller.
Okay.
We're
going to get serious, it sounded like here.
No, I think we're seriously out of time.
We're seriously out of time.
But I have the score from the control room, 4-1 Ganassi. Nice try.
Yeah. That's like, nice timing and scoring. Sounds like USAC.
Hey, buddy, it was fun. We're glad to have you as part of this evening. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Keep telling the truth, Ganassi, for once.
Find another story besides Danica Patrick. I don't think she can carry the whole race on her slender shoulders. Thank you very much, Robin Miller. We move on. Yes, a lot has changed at the Brickyard, and a lot has not. I'm going to give you my take on the importance of the Indy 500, and then we're going to talk STP turbine cars at Indy and Richard Petty. Our interview with Andy Granatelli is coming up.
Wednesday night on Speed. Build or bust and unique whips. First, build or bust.
I'm pretty psyched. I think he's going down in flames.
Then, from cars to cribs.
My guys do it all.
3 chances to see 2 killer shows. Build or bust and unique whips. Wednesday night at 8 Eastern, only on Speed. There's no feeling like M3 Power. Press the button and feel the boost in performance. Introducing M3 Power Nitro, the first battery-powered shaving system from Gillette. M3 Power with a bold new look. Turn it on and micropulses raise hair so you shave closer. Boost the performance. Feel the power of the world's closest, most comfortable shave. New M3 Power Nitro from Gillette.
All the baseball you want and then some. MLB Extra Innings from DirecTV. More of your favorite players. More of your favorite teams. And all the pennant races. Up to 60 games each week you won't get if you don't call. MLB Extra Innings from DirecTV.
His name is synonymous with greatness. He's more than a legend. To millions, he's an icon. Now he returns to the ring in the ultimate event. Julio Cesar Chavez. Adios. Also in action, his son, Julio Jr., and former champions Carlos Hernandez and Jesus Chavez in a world title elimination bout. Saturday, May 28th, live on DirecTV pay-per-view channel 123. Chavez and his son in the ring. One night only. See a legend before your eyes.
Welcome back to my take on the Indy 500. Although there is justifiable fear that it may shrink to the size of an organ grinder's monkey, for now, the Memorial Day Classic remains the 800-pound gorilla of American open-wheel racing. And the history of kart versus the IRL provides all the answers, in my opinion. Remember when that fight started? Kart's decision makers, the team owners, set out to show Tony George who was boss. They ran a competing Memorial Day 500 at kart member Roger Penske's Michigan International Speedway. Kart boasting it had all the big stars. And when those stars wadded themselves up before the green flag ever fell, the US 500 was quickly toast. So what did the kart owners do? Well, they bought IRL cars. Why? To go back to Indy. And for the next few years, the month of May was all about how CART's vastly superior drivers beat up on those hapless IRL regulars as if that were really some sort of victory. And not long after that, lo and behold, those very same CART teams decided they'd field their IRL cars full-time, in fact, abandoning the series they owned and becoming the Indy Racing League. 9 of the top 10 in points, 14 of the 22 IRL regulars now fielded by team owners who 4 years ago were the backbone of CART. What is the consistent theme here? It is the Indy 500. Yes, the crowd and the TV ratings are down, but they still dwarf whatever you consider to be the nearest IRL or CART competition. Add those elusive elements, history and tradition, and there simply is no competition. I think the evidence is clear. However much a decade of infighting has diminished the greatest spectacle in racing, it at least remains the greatest spectacle in American open-wheel racing. That's my take. I'd like to hear yours. 866-W-TUNNEL, the phone number. WinTunnel@SpeedTV.com, the email. And I am particularly interested to hear my co-host Chip Ganassi's view. What do you think? Have I got that anywhere right?
Well, you know, Dave, I've listened to your takes a lot on Sunday evening, and I have to say you nailed that one. You nailed that one, I thought. The history, you skimmed over a few things along the way there in the history, and you know,
I only get a minute and a half.
Everyone's we did win the US 500 that year. I thought you could have plugged me there at least.
I could have given you a shot there. And because everybody crashed, you were no.
In fact, we pulled a spare car out and won with a spare car.
But
I had
my
a great
point,
group of guys doing it that day.
My point is that there's Indy and there's everything else.
Exactly.
And when people say, we had a guy say, well, who was the email maybe? Don't give me that stuff about the sponsors. I mean, do the sponsors care about anything besides Indy?
Well, I mean, look, the sponsors, at the end of the day, you said that it's the greatest spectacle in racing. You know, and at the end of the day, the sponsors are still the sponsors. And you know, they're you know, our sport, fortunately or unfortunately, you know, has a hunger for sponsor dollars. And, you know, we need them, and we certainly take their opinion in what they think should be done, how it should be done. Certainly, we listen to them.
Yeah, and my opinion is they want Indy, and the rest of it they take. What do we got here? We got anything that we particularly like? How about line one, Michael in Loretto, Tennessee. Michael, you're on with Despain and Ganassi. Go ahead, quickly if you could, please. Hey, Michael.
Hope to see you, Dave, in August at Hurricane Mills, Tennessee.
All right. Yep. Big motorcycle amateur national championships. What's on your mind, Michael? We got to move here.
Okay. Just this for Chip. I was wondering anything on the rumor mill about James Stewart getting in a NASCAR.
Bubba Stewart deep in negotiations with Chip Ganassi for a stock car ride. I hear it all the time. What's the story?
Sorry to inform you. I think that's a rumor. I mean, I've met James, and I think he'd make a great addition to any motorsport he'd like to get involved in. He seems like a great competitor, and the guy likes to win. That's about as far as it goes. I've not had any more conversation with him other than that last sentence.
Let's go to Mater in Circleville, Ohio. Welcome, Mater. How's things in Southern Ohio tonight? And most importantly, what's on your mind?
Outstanding, Double Dave. Let me get right to the point.
Good.
I know you like that.
I do.
Long-time fan, long-time listener. I got a question, and then I got a follow-up with Mr. Ganassi.
Okay.
First of all, what is up with all these cautions in NASCAR anymore, people? Come on.
Set records for caution flags. Any opinions why?
Not my department.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
You're the owner.
I'm a competitor. I mean, I got when they throw the yellow flag, I have to listen to them and follow. I'm sorry, I don't have an answer.
No take on that one.
I have no take on.
Sorry,
no take on.
Here's my theory about it. Too many guys running into each other. Okay, what's your follow up?
It's just ridiculous. Follow up. Prediction. Ganassi's going to be filling 2 seats this year. Sterling Marlin, he's going to let him go because he's a fool. The 42 car, Jamie McMurray.
Wait a minute. Ganassi is or Sterling is?
I think that needed
I think that was me. I'll take that one.
He got it. Okay.
You figure it out.
Second one?
That's why CART's in the position it's in today. But anyway, Jamie McMurray, he's going to be driving the 6 car next year. You heard it here first.
All right.
Okay.
All right. And yet you plan to keep him as a long-term driver. We'll see who's right, the guy in Southern Ohio or Chip Ganassi. I'm supposed to make a smooth transition now to Pictures of the Week. See how this one works out. How about a selection from the Ganassi Photo Archive to kick off this week's edition of Racer Magazine Pictures of the Week? Another sponsor plug. How about it? Celebrating with one of our favorite people, Alex Zanardi won back-to-back kart titles for Chip. Race cars, Buckingham Palace, FIA GT at Silverstone. Apparently the Queen approves. Dominant Casey Kane moment in the NASCAR spotlight. He wins his first one. And Indy Art, don't be fooled. That's looking down at the famed Yard of Bricks, the clouds reflecting off yesterday's rain-soaked track. You never would have figured that out if I couldn't explain it to you, right? And now the pick that wins a Tunnelhead subscription to Racer Magazine. Look, it's a monster truck. Tom Meents jumping over his own house. That's his old house. He built a new one. After he jumped over his old one, he crushed it. Dave Hinton captured the moment, and he gets the subscription. What's that? You want to see the video. Everybody wants to see the video. Some people just don't appreciate great art. Andy, see if there's time to stick the video in eye candy if we don't end up having to kill eye candy. Finally, a reminder, you can save on your Racer Magazine subscription, racer.com/SpeedTV. Click your way on over there. Tell them Wind Tunnel sent you. We'll see if we can find the video.
NASCAR Nation on Speed. Get off the track and into the heart of the NASCAR Nation.
We are kicking it off in high gear.
Way better than any roller coaster I've ever been on.
Stop it. There is never a dull moment.
It's a perfect match.
It's been an amazing ride.
Declare your citizenship Monday through Thursday, 7 Eastern and Pacific, exclusively on Speed.
Look at him. He thinks this is his truck, but he's wrong. This is my truck. 8 years I've sat here. 130,000 miles of wind have passed through this nose. This truck is mine, but he does protect it.
Help extend the life of your engine with Castrol GTX High Mileage, specially formulated to protect against oil burn-off better than competitive leading oils.
Nice man. Nice man.
Help older cars feel young again with Castrol GTX High Mileage.
Here's a fun fact. Erected in 1963, the walnut stands 15 feet high.
I'll be in the car.
Go where you want with Avis. Just go to Avis.com to find our best cars at our lowest prices every time. Avis.com, a better way to start your trip.
Hey, Angie. Going to the post office?
Post office?
Angie, post office, 3 seconds.
No matter how many packages you need to send, you don't have to go to the post office. Just log on to USPS.com. Pay postage, get insurance, print labels, and we'll pick them up for free.
I'm at the post office.
Just one more way the U.S. Postal Service is working for you.
His autobiography, modestly titled They Call Me Mr. 500, was already complete before he actually won the big race at Indy in 1969, thus the description of Mr. 500's ultimate brickyard success limited to the last page. But that is only a small part of the life story of Andy Granatelli. Son of Italian immigrants, Andy became a foot-to-the-wood American hot rodder, driving them himself. There's a rocket-powered dirt car, sold parts to other cars just like himself, and even promoted a post-war race at Soldier Field in Chicago, 89,000 sellout. He later turned his promotional talents to STP, and racing was an important tool in making the oil additive a household name. At Indianapolis, he was not just the sponsor, but a car owner, and what incredible cars. Parnelli Jones four-wheel drive turbine in 67, and the Colin Chapman-designed successor to that car in 68, and best of all, Mario Andretti's 500 winner in 69. STP won again as a sponsor, Gordy Johncock in that tragic rain-shortened 73 race, but by then the famous logo had found a new home, and the company's relationship with Richard Petty would become the longest-running racing sponsorship ever. And with that, we welcome Andy Granatelli to the Wind Tunnel. Andy, it is an honor to have you here tonight. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Dave.
You have done so much in your life, and we're limited to not nearly enough time to talk about it. So let's hit the high spots, starting with STP. Through the 60s, you took that product from 7% to 85% market share, from 7 to 2,000 employees, made the logo as recognizable as Coca-Cola. Is there a 30-second version of that success story? What was the key? Why did it work?
It worked because I wasn't afraid to advertise, and we had a great product.
Simple as that. It's an advertising success story, but it's also a racing success story. Richard Petty, Mario Andretti, famous names teamed with you. You, the guy who drove that rocket car, the guy who got hurt trying to qualify for your first Indy 500 and gave up on becoming a driver. That love of racing, and specifically your love of racing, how big a deal was that in making STP successful?
Well, of course I loved racing, but I also recognized that auto racing was the vehicle that you could promote products through. I was the first one to put a decal on a driver's uniform. And I gave all the drivers in 1963 no-mix uniforms with STV decal on them. But up to that time, they only had short-sleeve shirts you used to drive in. They didn't have decals on cars except one or two. Today, when you see all those cars plastered with decals and all the uniforms, blame it on me. When you see somebody from a corporation advertising a corporation product, blame that on me. When you see auto racing on television, blame that on me. And Dave, you wouldn't be on television right now if it wasn't for me, because I started auto racing on television.
And believe me, I'm deeply grateful for that, Andy, although I got to tell you, I can remember at least one case when the STP logos I thought may have gotten a little out of hand. We have that photograph that we were kind of laughing about. Andy won't be able to see this, but he'll remember it. This is the famous suit with nonstop STP logos from stem to stern. It was a stylish figure you cut at Indianapolis. We joke about that. We do not joke about the cars. Let's talk about the STP turbine car, the Whooshmobile.
Let me tell you first about that. Let me tell you about that suit. When I went to Indianapolis and I gave all my drivers pajamas with that, and all my crew with the decals like that, everybody laughed at me. Of course, you're talking about it 35 years later, so it did work.
Exactly.
And the board of directors at the Studebaker Corporation said that they called me in the office and said, you're executive now in the public relations department, thinks you look kind of like a clown out there with one of those pajama suits on. You ought to have a dress suit with a tie. I said, yes, sir. And I went out and had a suit made out of the same product and put a tie on. But I wasn't going to change it because it worked, okay?
That's a great story. Tell me about the... Exactly. We remember it. You did your job. You made your point. I want to know about the cars. The Whooshmobile was such a piece of work. Parnelli Jones at the controls just blew off the field. I mean, it was clear nobody else was going to touch him in the 67 500. The thing stops with 3 laps to go. That was a very radical concept. Was it your concept? Where did the idea to take a turbine to Indy come from?
Well, I watched in 1950. I had we had General Cliff May put a turbine car in my Indianapolis car for tire testing for Firestone. So I had the idea in 1950. It wasn't my idea, but I saw it happen. And then Zink came along in the early 60s and did that, and it still didn't work. But everybody said it wouldn't work, so I decided I could make it work. I started in 65 thinking of how to do it and how to make it work, because the Novi was the most powerful car there. It had twice the horsepower of any other car. They couldn't go through the corners. So I wanted to get a light engine. The lightest engine I knew of was a turbine engine. The Novi weighed 800 pounds. The Alfie weighed 400 pounds. And the turbine weighed 260 pounds. Didn't use any water. Only held 2 quarts of oil. Didn't have any fan belts. Didn't have any hoses, any water, any radiator cores. So obviously it was a lighter engine. So I designed the race car around the turbine engine. The turbine engine was too long to put in a car, so I built side-by-side construction. And of course, in those days, all the guys used to have to wait in the rear of the car, put 80 gallons of fuel in the back of the car, and the cars would go down in the corner, and they would get killed from spinning up and being so heavy in the back end. So I put all the fuel down the center of the car, down the center of the frame. And that's how I got the idea. I wanted to center the fuel in the car. I wanted to put the driver on one side and the engine on the other side.
Worked great. I need a break at that point. There's so much to talk about, and we'll continue our conversation with Andy Granatelli right after this. A lot more ground to cover, including winning the Indy 500. Stay tuned.
Hey, Greg White here. Get your two-wheel fix next Tuesday beginning at 8 o'clock. It starts off with American Thunder hosted by Michelle Smith. Then Corbin's Ride On, followed by Two-Wheel Tuesday. We're going to talk about motorcycle brake technology. So tune in Tuesday, 8 o'clock, only on Speed.
Wow, you feel that?
We're getting a workout today.
Tell me about it.
Look alive, guys! Hit it!
All in favor of a car that drives like this and looks like that. Raise your hair. Wow. The Mazda 6 Sports Sedan, part of the exciting Mazda 6 series.
I'm gonna take the shortcut!
Well, now, where's the fire, boys? Oh, fresh toasted sandwiches. Well, get those babies home before they get cold.
Fresh toasted sandwiches from Subway restaurants.
I'm hungry. You hungry?
Sponsors of Greg Biffle and Car 16.
Loctite Power Grab grabs instantly, with 9 times higher initial hold than the leading brand. Without bracing and without hammering. Loctite Power Grab. Project solved.
Pop quiz. Who was Andy Granatelli's most famous driver? Due respect to Mario, due respect to the other great drivers, I got to say, most famous had to be Johnny Carson. Check it out, the host of The Tonight Show, driving the turbine car at Indianapolis. We heard he hit 160 miles an hour. I doubt there was any public relations talk in that. Andy Granatelli is my guest tonight. How in the world did you pull that off? How did you get Carson in your race car?
Well, I used to be on Johnny Carson's show quite a bit, and I just told Johnny, I said, you're always out there doing things that are crazy. I said, how about doing something that's crazier? I said, come drive my turbine car in Indianapolis. And he said, yes. We put him in the car, gave him some instruction. He went out and did a fantastic job.
Let's talk about the you had bad luck in finishing races with the turbine, as we've established. That actually happened a couple of times in a row, very close to the end, leading the race. But then, of course, the one time when you did make it to the finish, and that was with Mario in '69 and the famous victory celebration. You had to be on pins and needles, given what had gone before, wondering if that car was going to finish. Was it as nerve-wracking as I would imagine?
Absolutely. It was numerous times that I either won the race and to get paid for it, or car quit in the last few laps, and then so I was very nervous about that. When the public relations director came up to me and says, "Put your coat on, going to victory lane," I said, "No." I said, "Wait till the race is over." I wasn't going to move until the checker flag dropped.
Is it true, you talked at great length about the ingenuity involved in the turbine car. Is it true that the powers in Indy drove you off? Too colorful, too controversial perhaps for the USAC establishment? The stuff you showed up with just a little too far out of the box?
No. The trouble with the turbine car only had 480 horsepower, and the supercharged Fords had 750 horsepower. The turbine car was a great car because it had four-wheel drive, very smooth performance, a lot of torque out of the corners. It could go anywhere in the racetrack you wanted it to. It's proven when probably qualified 166 miles an hour, 6th fastest. That's as fast as the car would run. But the other guys all had nitromethane in their cars and high gears and high revving camshafts and high compression motors just to qualify with. We raced just the way we qualified. So we went faster in the race because we didn't change anything. All the rest of the guys had to turn their gears down, lower the compression, take the nitromethane out, change the camshafts, on and on and on. So the turbine car would, and as you remember, Pranelli got out, dropped back from 6th to 7th or 8th on the start of the race, and then he passed everybody on the outside before the middle of turn 1.
Did indeed.
Nobody ever drove there before, So the car would go anywhere you pointed it. The reason they banned the turbine car was straight ignorance. The mechanics over there didn't know how to start a turbine car. They were afraid of it. The owners were ignorant because they didn't want to buy new engines. They could have bought a turbine engine in those days for $30,000, and they would have run 300, 500-mile races without tuning it, overhauling it, or touching it. Imagine that. And in those days, we were blowing up 6, 7, 8 engines a day at $35,000 to $50,000 a clip. So, the race, I should say, at Indianapolis. So they just didn't know what they were afraid of it.
Let me take this conversation in a new direction. Your STP deal with Petty Enterprises, it became the longest-running racing sponsorship ever, but I've heard that it almost fell apart before it ever started because of the color of the car. Is that a true story?
Right. We made our deal, and Petty started walking out the office, and I said, you know the car will be red. And he says, oh, no. He says, it's going to be blue. And I said, no, it's going to be red. So he started walking out. And I says, time out, let's talk about this. Well, we compromised, half red and half blue. And I want to tell you something. Richard Petty is not only the finest stock car driver that ever drove a car anywhere at any time in this world, but he is the finest gentleman, the most honest guy, the easiest guy to work with. You can't believe what a great gentleman he is and how easy he is to work with. He is the best, okay?
He was the king of NASCAR. At one point, you were the vice chairman of NASCAR. What made...
I started...
If you can tell me in 30 seconds, Andy, what made Bill France Sr. successful? What was the key to his success?
Bill France and I started NASCAR together, and he came to, so you saw that 89,000 people at Soldier Field, a stock car race I had there, and he says, boy, we got to do something about this. He was down to earth, he was smart, he was earthy, and he wasn't afraid to do things. He was brave. He was a great man.
I have a guy that's very appreciative of you and your company that's going to join this conversation when we come back after the commercial break. We'll get Chip Ganassi connected here with Andy Granatelli and talk about more of the days of yore, the big-time world of motorsports.
Air freshener too strong? New metered release Aerometrics for a long-lasting fragrance that's never out of control.
The next time you're ready to do lawn work, have the next best thing to a professional lawn crew waiting for you. Reach for the tools they rely on. Echo Power Tools. For power, for durability, season after season, Echo Power Tools have been the leading choice of professionals for years. Every Echo uses revolutionary two-stroke engine technology, and every Echo carries the highest performance rating there is. So put an Echo in your garage. Available at leading lawn care equipment dealers nationwide.
We want to make sure that you're right for our daughter. Are you safe? Reliable?
Don't buy a used car without a Carfax history report. Now with the buyback guarantee. For details, ask your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
Need a new home loan? Listen to what customers are saying about Dytek's $395 flat fee first mortgage.
I called around other places, but we refinanced our home through Dytek for $395, and it was real. They really stuck to the $395. We reduced the term of our loan. We reduced our monthly payments. They came to us. It was easy.
Refinance now with the flat fee home loan from Dytek.com. The total lender fee is just $395. Log on or call 1-800-DYTEK-1.
Parts, give me more parts. At AutoZone, I can find the right part. Give me tailgate, engine, piston, bumper.
AutoZone, for over 750,000 new special order and salvage parts.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Parts.
Behold the V-Chip! In conjunction with the TV ratings that appear at the top of each program, keeps your family watching only the shows that you find suitable. For more information, visit us on the web or call this number. The V-Chip, making the world safe for TVs, one parent at a time.
We're back. My guest on the satellite tonight is Andy Granatelli. My co-host here in the studio is Chip Ganassi, and Chip wants to say hello to his old friend. Chip, feel free. That's Andy Granatelli. He should be able to hear you now.
Well, Andy, how are you? Chip Ganassi here.
Fine, Chip. How you doing, buddy?
Great, great. And Andy, I want to thank you again. You know, I've had an STP sticker on my car since 1982, up until this year, in fact, and it continues. And in large part because of an old friend of ours, Ralph Salvino. And Ralph had a lot to do with my career. And if it wasn't for Ralph, I probably wouldn't be sitting here this evening. And I want to thank you for hiring him. And I just wonder how you ever met him, and how do you two ever get started?
I met him in heaven.
He was a pretty special guy, wasn't he?
He's a special man. He still is.
Yes, he is.
Let me ask you about the popularity of stock car racing. Did you foresee what we're seeing today when you and Bill were working on the early stages of NASCAR. Did you and he plan this far ahead?
Of course, if you think about the fact that I had 89,000 people on a quarter-mile track in 1948, what would that tell you? If you get 89,000 people on a quarter-mile track, why couldn't you have 1 million people on a 2.5-mile track? It's just that simple. And at the time we had 89,000 people at Soldier Field, you're only getting 120,000 people at Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So people relate to stock cars because they drive them on the street. That's why NASCAR is more popular than open wheel racing is now, because people relate to the engines and the cars. They can see the drivers and know who they are. You can't tell who the drivers are in Indy cars.
So
when I saw Don Weldon's face on TV today, I said, "Oh, that's what he looks like after all these years," you know.
So what does it take? What does the IRL need? How do you put butts in the seats for an IRL race?
You don't do what Mario Andretti said. You do part of it. You put half the. Make all the chassis the same. Stop the bickering between RL and kart, which started all this downslide in the first place, which I predicted and told everybody it would be. And then you put different kinds of engines, as many different kinds of engines as humanly possible in all the different cars, so people got something to pull for.
So it's
if you want to talk about IRL, if you want to talk about IRL and kart sometime, I have the solution how to not only what happened, but what needs to be done to bring open wheel racing back. I positively, unequivocally can tell you how to correct that problem.
Can you do it in 60 seconds? If so, you're on.
I can't do it in 60 seconds.
We'll just have to have you back. In that case, we're going to give Jim in Indianapolis, Indiana, a shot here. Jim, you're on the air with Andy Granatelli. Go ahead, and it needs to be quick, if I could, please.
I just have a comment and a question for Andy. First of all, as an Indy fan, I hope they never do away with the 4 days of qualifying or the 4 laps of qualifying. But also, Andy, is there any chance you ever come back to Indianapolis?
Not as a car owner or a driver, no. A driver, maybe, if they had a car big enough, but they're not wide enough anymore.
But that dream of driving never left. Why would you not want to go back?
It's too complicated, and too many rules and regulations don't make any sense to me.
All right. Well, that's where we'll leave it then. They need to simplify the rules. They need to make the chassis all the same and get lots more engines. And the next time we have you back, you'll solve this kart IRL problem for us. Andy Granatelli, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure being with you. You've got a great show. I watch you all the time.
That's one of the highest compliments this television show has been paid, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's see. We need to look ahead to next week on Wind Tunnel. Oh, the fun just keeps on keeping on. Dirt Motorsports CEO Paul Kruger going to be talking about his growing empire, from the World of Outlaw Sprints and late models to the DIRT Modified Series. He owns them all. And my co-host, why, it would be the new owner of Eldora Speedway. Thank you very much. Smoke.
Hey, Ganassi, keep my seat warm, because next week it's mine. So Tunnelheads, send in your emails, because I'll be answering your questions next Sunday.
Next Sunday on Speed, from go-kart champ to NASCAR champ.
You know me, I'm always a pest.
Tony Stewart has smoked them all.
You ain't spitting in my eye.
When I have my show, I'll start picking, but this is your show.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain and co-host Tony Stewart. Next Sunday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on Speed.
Introducing a conventional oil that totally defies convention. New Mobile Clean 5000. The first oil enhanced with a high-endurance formula. The only one guaranteed to protect for 5,000 miles. Mobile Clean 5000. The oil that's changing oil.
There's a lot of reasons I love having Rent-A-Center as a sponsor. First, they have name brand merchandise like Ashley, Phillips, and Compact. Second, they don't care about your credit situation. But the best thing about having Rent-A-Center as a sponsor, I get to try the new stuff first.
Scratch and save up to $50 off a new rental agreement. Plus, a chance to win one of over 40,000 other prizes at Rent-A-Center. Now through May 14th. Call now to connect with your local store.
There's a better way to mow that's a cut above anything else out there. And that's why more landscape professionals trust the zero-turn technology of an Exmark Laser Z. Now you can mow like a pro with this industry-leading, easy-to-operate mowing system. You'll finish mowing in about half the time. And when you're done, the beautifully manicured results will be the envy of the neighborhood. So come on, go pro with the last mower you'll ever need to buy. An Exmark Laser Z.
With so many choices from DirecTV, you could be missing out on the best one of all.
The entertainment package that delivers nothing but the best. Showtime Unlimited.
With 4 premium networks on 9 channels.
With the latest uncut commercial-free movies.
Original series, special events.
Documentaries, and championship boxing.
Plus state-of-the-art high-definition programming.
And for $12 a month or less, it's all yours.
Showtime Unlimited. Just call to order, then sit back
and enjoy.
The island hopping continues for the next round of the World Rally Championship. Going back over 9,000 years, Cyprus is steeped in history. In its 5-year history, 5 drivers have won the Cyprus Rally. But this year, 3 drivers, Ronald, Solberg, and Loeb, can be the first repeat winner and claim another spot in the history books. So join us in the Mediterranean for round 6 of the WRC. The World Rally Championship, the Cyprus Rally is next, only on Speed.
For the record, Chip Ganassi does not own a rally car yet. You up for a phone call? Sure you are. That's why we got you here. Let's go to Andy in Atlanta, Georgia. Andy with Chip, quickly if you could, please.
Okay, real quick. Forget the sponsors, forget the money. As a pure racer, which would you rather win, Daytona or Indy?
Oh, wow, great question.
Great question, Andy. You know, you're making me make a call there that, you know, I guess maybe because I've won Indy already, I would say probably winning Daytona would mean quite a bit to me now.
There you go, and he will continue to work on it. Time for another one, maybe real quick. James in Montezuma, Kansas. You're on with Chip. Real quick, please.
Hi, Chip and Dave. I got an idea to keep the speeds down instead of restrictor plates. You know, why don't we just not allow any ovals to be any bigger than a mile, or just lower the banking down like Indy, you know, just like they did back in the old motorcycle board track racing days. They did away with that.
James, let me give you a clue. They ain't going to get rid of Daytona, okay? We move on. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Postman always brings cool stuff. This week, this is neat. A prescient bit of motoring journalism. Bill Denman sent this along. It's a copy of an article from Hot Rod Magazine, and let me read you the quote here. It says, "It seems that the degree of sophistication and professionalism exemplified by prominent people in auto racing is on the rise. Jack Roush typifies that trend." Hot Rod Magazine, May 1976. That was 29 years ago. Since then, Jack has kept the reputation and added a hat. We'll be back with a house-leaping monster truck if we're lucky, and some final thoughts from Chip Ganassi. And if you think you're good enough for last call, you best be dialing. We'll be right back.
Stay 5 nights at Best Western and get $50 off your next stay, plus a chance to win big. Visit bestwesternracing.com for details.
Hemis, Honeys, and Hot Rods. The Castrol Engine Block on Speed.
This World Rally Update is brought to you by Subaru. Despite struggling on the tricky Italian roads, Peter Solberg pushed his Subaru to an impressive second-place finish on the Rally Italia Sardinia. With competitors dropping out all around him, Solberg avoided major disaster to bring home 8 valuable championship points. Solberg takes aim at his 3rd win of the season on the Cyprus Rally, Sunday, May 15th at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, only on Speed.
All the lightsaber skills and all the force powers can't save you from the one thing you can never escape: your destiny. Star Wars Episode 3, the video game. Before you see the movie, live it, Sweet Teen.
Hey, Angie. Going to the post office?
Post office?
Angie, post office, 3 seconds.
No matter how many packages you need to send, you don't have to go to the post office. Just log on to USPS.com. Pay postage, get insurance, print labels, and we'll pick them up for free.
I'm at the post office.
Just one more way the U.S. Postal Service is working for you.
freshener too strong? New metered release Aerometrics for a long-lasting fragrance that's never out of control.
Loctite Power Grab. Grabs instantly. With 9 times higher initial hold than the leading brand. Without bracing. Loctite Power Grab. Project solved.
Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain is brought to you by the U.S. Postal Service. With more ways to use us than ever before, the U.S. Postal Service is working for you. And by Carfax.
Eye candy. It's so good and so good for you. We have not talked about your Rolex sports car team. Looks like your series champ, our buddy Pruitt and Luis Diaz may have their hands full with Angelelli and Wayne Taylor.
Wayne Taylor.
You got them covered or not?
I don't know. You know, Felix called me up one day and said, "Hey," he said, "I think we need to have one of those Grand Am teams." Is that what it's called, Grand Am? And I said, "Yeah, that's a Grand Am." And he said, "Yeah, let's do one of those." You know, and my hat's off to him. Yeah, he put the whole deal together, and I just get to run it. So
that's good. That's
we're
good
having
deal.
a good
So he is still actively involved.
Absolutely. I think he's a little under the weather tonight, and I want to send my best wishes to him. I think he's sitting in a hospital bed tonight somewhere in Charlotte here, but he's
quick.
Okay though. He'll be fine, I'm sure.
Real quick, the long-term outlook for that series is NASCAR-style sports car racing going to find its legs?
Certainly a lot of buzz about the series. I can tell you that, and we're going to be in it, and. I hear all the time, questions. I get a lot of questions from other racing people. Say, "Boy, what's that series? It seems so great. Competition. It's good TV.
Lots of cars.
And lots of cars."
I hear you're winning friends and influencing people. Tell me how the email reviews are going. Dave, get Chip off the TV. I'm a diehard kart fan, and it's hard to hate this guy. From Edward. I think that may be the most left-handed compliment I've ever heard.
That's a left-handed compliment.
But
Thank you very much.
Sounds like you're on the right track. Last call already. This has been fun. It's hard to hate this guy. Last call is Angela in Neptune, New Jersey. Angela, you're on with Chip. What's up?
Hi, Dave. It's a great show.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ganassi,
Yes.
You are not a fool. You are my favorite car owner, and that is exactly why you will keep the great Sterling Marlin in car 40.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much,
many
Angela.
wins ahead of him.
Well, I sure hope he does, and I
Good
sure
luck
hope he
to
does,
you.
and I hope they're with me.
Atta girl, Angela. Stay on the line, Angela. We want you to have a bobblehead. Send Angela a bobblehead. In order of their importance to you, 3 things that you would still like to accomplish in your life, racing or otherwise.
Nextel Cup Championship. 3 things in racing or in my life?
In or out, whatever you
in
name
racing
it.
or in my life. Nextel Cup Championship. I want to watch my daughter grow up, and I want to Win more races.
Win more races. Win, win, win. That's what it's all about. This has been fun for me. How's it been for you?
Dave, it's been great. Thank you very much for having me.
It's okay to bring you on and let Robin beat you up?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've always, Robin's good. He can take a punch, and so can I.
They tell me that they didn't even have time for the jet engines to cool off, so you can jump right back in and continue your weekend sojourn around the world of motorsports. I know what you went through to get here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you
Get
very
the
much.
Briscoe kid in next week, and have a great Indy 500.
Thank you very much.
That is Chip Ganassi, ladies and gentlemen. The fun will continue next week. We've got Paul Kruger coming in. A lot of questions to ask that guy about where he's taking this whole dirt thing. But, yeah, send your emails for him, of course. But you heard Smoke say it. He wants your emails. He wants your questions. He wants your calls. Tony Stewart will sit in that seat next week. It is a wind tunnel we've been very much looking forward to, and we hope you'll be here to be part of it. I'm Dave Despain, Speed TV.